Welcome to FO Coding. First lesson. Our class name is First Program. Every code has to be in a class. Class names should start with an uppercase letter. The main method must be inside the class definition. System out println is a method in Java that prints a message to the standard output, typically the console, and appends a new line character. Java is case-sensitive. The compiler executes the code's starting function. Variables. Variables are containers for storing data values. Java has different types of variables. For example, string L equal hello. String stores text, such as hello. String values are surrounded by double quotes and B equal 1. Int is used to store whole numbers without decimal point. Double C equal 2. Double is used to represent floating point numbers. It uses 64 bits to store a variable value and has a range greater than float type float D equal 3. 7F. Float is used to store numbers with decimal. We should put letter F as a suffix, otherwise it will save it as a double char E equal E. Char stores single characters, such as your B. Char values are surrounded by single quotes. Boolean statement equal true. Boolean stores values with two states, true or false. How to create or declare a variable. When creating a variable, we must specify the type and assign it as a value. For example, type variable name equal value, string email equal example at string.com, system out println email. This will print example at string.com. To change the value of a variable, we simply assign a new value to it. For example, int I equal 10. The value is 10. I equal 5. Now the value if I is 5. This is the output of this code. Arithmetic operators. For addition, we use the plus symbol. For subtraction, we use the minus symbol. For division, we use the divider symbol. For multiplication, we use the multiplier symbol. For modulus, we use the percentage symbol. This is the output of this code. Logical operators. At the beginning of the code, we will declare A as true, B as false, and C as true. The first line will demonstrate an example of what happens if one statement is true and the other is false using the AND operator. The AND operator returns true only if both statements are true. In the second line, we will use the logical operator OR, which returns true only if one of the statements is true. The third example showcases the logical NOT operator represented by an exclamation mark. It will reverse the result and return false if the result is true. This is a table that represents how do operators work when true and false statements are combined. Conditions and if-else statements. Java supports usual conditions, mathematical conditions as the symbols shown on screen. Logical conditions can represent if, for example, a number is smaller or greater, equal to or not equal to. If statement will execute a code if the condition is true. Else if will check if another statement is true. And finally, else will execute a code if neither of these are true. If the number was set to any lower than 8, it would execute the if statement. If the number was set to any higher than 8, it would execute the else if statement. There is another statement called a switch that we will talk about in another lesson. In this case, the integer number is set to 8. This would execute the else statement and print out the message. The number is equal to 8. Loops. Loops are used to repeat a block of code. First, we are going to describe the for loop. At first, we initialize a variable. Second step is that we define the condition evaluation if the condition is true. Then loop will execute. The last step is that the initialized variable will be updated. This process will run until the condition described in the second step becomes false. The presented code will print numbers from 0 to 9, and then the loop will end, as at that point the condition became false. Now we are going to describe the while loop. In the while loop, we initialize the variable outside of the loop and set the specified condition afterwards. The while loop will run as long as this condition is true. The two steps of while loops are testing the condition and updating the condition. A different variation of while loop is a do while loop. The do while loop will start running before checking if the condition is true, and will run repeat the code if the condition is true. The do while loop will be executed at least once, no matter whether the condition is true or false. Arrays. In arrays, we can store many values in a single variable. Using arrays helps us not to have to declare separate variable for each value. Array are defined with using square brackets, as can be seen in the following example. If we want to print the declared array, we can do that by using the variable name and an index number in square brackets. Array's index starting point is 0. There is another way of declaring arrays. We can print all the array elements simply by using a loop and the length property. In this example, we were using declaring string as an array. Same way we can declare int or any other variable. Multi-dimensional array is simply an array of arrays, and they're useful for storing data in a tabular form. The next table will give a clear understanding what output comes based on the used index and how the multi-dimensional arrays work. User input. To get the user input, first we need to import package called Java util scanner. The next step is to declare a string. We will call it input. Afterwards, we can create an object called reAddInput by using the line scanner reAddInput equal new scanner system. In reAddInput object name is declared by us. So if you prefer to use another name for it, you can. To read our input string, we will now use the method called nextLine. As you can see on the code, it is a simple line of code where our string input that was declared earlier will be equal to reAddInput nextLine. This will read the text that we input in the console. Another new thing to learn in this lesson is \n. A special character that you can see at the ending line of the code represents the start of a new line. Finally, we will print our input, followed by a message your input is. For different types of variables, we would have to use different methods, as for example the ones represented in the table. A note to be careful of: in case of a wrong input, we will get an error message input mismatch exception. This happens, for example, if we put a text in a numerical input place. Any more questions, please leave a comment.